Centerpiece, the show dedicated to fighting on the front lines of political hypocrisy, exposing the lies and false promises of our leadership. And now your host, the voice of reason, Nick Messer.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Centerpiece. I am Nick Messer, the voice of reason. I'm joined again in the studio here in lovely Rensselaer, Indiana, with Mina May, the most beautiful redhead east of the Mississippi, I would probably assume. I got to give her a little bit of a shout out. She puts up with me, but I mean, I put up with her, so I guess we're even.
Yeah.
So we've had some technical difficulties and some things going on, and that's why the show is so late this evening. So, but we wanted to go ahead and get the show out there. I know the biggest majority of y'all who listen to our show, you download it later on. You don't listen to it live, because I'm not necessarily live when it's opportune for you to listen. And we got a few things we want to talk to you about tonight. Mina's looking to discuss how several states are not make some changes, yeah. So why don't you go ahead and get started with that while I go ahead and queue up some of this other stuff that we want.
Biden is looking at a lawsuit over canceling the Keystone XL pipeline. So 21 states have filed a lawsuit against Biden, hoping to overturn the cancellation of the Keystone pipeline.
So is
the decision that he made to cancel this, it even sparked pushback. Pushback, and even from Democrats,
right,
who are not on the far left.
The moderate Democrats.
Yeah.
The moderate Democrats were not happy.
Yeah. Who, the ones who are not on the far left energy policy side.
Right, the moderate Democrats that are liberals, not leftists.
Right. The lawsuit filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of the Southern District of Texas alleges that Biden has exceeded his presidential authority by canceling the pipeline. And of course, this was something he did on his first day in office, and it not only angered thousands, probably hundreds of thousands, millions maybe, but it angered Canada.
Right. Canada was not happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were matching us like the point of this was to, the point of the Keystone Pipeline was to make a more efficient path.
And safer.
A more efficient and safer path for oil trade between the United States and Canada to happen. And Canada was spending billions of dollars in prepping their side of the pipeline. See, the Keystone XL pipeline is for us simply to stop at the border. Canada was going to meet us at the border.
Right.
So they were doing just as much work as we were.
It was one of those things where they were doing their side of the work and we were doing our side of the work.
Right.
But the attorneys general argue that Biden exceeded his authority because of a provision Congress tucked into tax legislation back in 2011 that required then President Barack Obama to either approve the pipeline within 60 days or to issue a determination that it wasn't in the national interest. And I think NBC News reported on this. Obama rejected Trans Canada, which now is called TC Energy Corporation or TC Energy Corp. He rejected the application weeks later, saying Congress gave him insufficient time, but allowed the company to reapply. That deferred the decision until after his reelection, and then he rejected the application again, and then Donald Trump approved it, and then Biden revoked the approval.
Okay. So that's kind of how it went down. So essentially, within the provisions, the president had the authority to approve or reject, but once a decision was made, any further changes laid on legislation to change it, not the president.
Right. So right now, the current states that are suing Biden include... No.
That's Sam's thing.
I know. Texas, Montana, Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Mississippi, Missouri, Nebraska, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Utah, West Virginia, and Wyoming.
Okay, so some of these states that are jumped on board with the lawsuit were states that the pipeline was actually going to go through. The ones that were going to have to deal with the quote unquote risk of anything happening, the environmental concerns. The states that had to deal with the environmental concerns are like, we wanted this to happen. Essentially. I mean, this is just absolutely crazy. Revocation.
So, the lawsuits, I guess a little bit of it here. The lawsuit states revocation of the Keystone XL pipeline permit is a regulation of interstate and international commerce, which can only be accomplished as any other statute can through the process of bicameralism and presentment. The president lacks the power to enact his ambitious plan, that's in quotes, to reshape the economy in defiance of Congress's unwillingness to do so. To the extent that Congress had delegated such authority, it would violate the non-delegation doctrine. But Congress has not delegated such authority. It set specific rules regarding what actions the president can take about Keystone XL and when. The president, together with various senior executive officials, violated those rules. The action should be set aside as inconsistent with the Constitution and the Administrative Procedure Act 5 U.S.C. 500.
So essentially he violated U.S. code.
Basically.
Yeah. He didn't have the authority to cancel it, is essentially what it boils down to.
Yeah. And then Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton progress of the previous administration. With complete disregard for the Constitution, a revoke as a pipeline permit is not only, but will also devastate the livelihoods of thousands of workers, their families, and their communities. This administration continues to tout imaginary green energy jobs without any recognition that their actions in the real world will make it impossible for hardworking Americans to put on the table.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean, we've seen this across the board ever since day one from Joe Biden. Anything that has had Trump's name attached to it in any way, shape, or form, he just immediately canceled. If he had the authority, and obviously even if he didn't have the authority, that's exactly what he was doing.
Yeah.
He wants to erase anything about Trump from the face of the planet.
And I hope I get this right because I'm terrible with names, but Montana Attorney General Austin Knudsen, I'm pretty sure that's how it's
Knudsen.
Mm-hmm. Said that the power to regulate foreign and interstate commerce belongs to Congress, not the president. This is another example of Joe Biden overstepping his constitutional role to the detriment of Montanans. There is not even a perceived environmental benefit to his actions. His attempt to cancel the Keystone XL pipeline is an empty virtue signal to his wealthy coastal elite donors. It shows Biden's contempt for rural communities in Montana and other states along the pipeline's path that would benefit from the support of the project.
Right. Well, and I mean, basically, what they're saying there from Montana was that, basically, if this pipeline hadn't been part of an international deal with Canada, then he may have actually had the authority. But because this was part of an international deal with Canada, the authority lies with Congress on that.
Right.
You know, and it was going to put a lot of people to work, you know, and Jen Psaki has been pressed several times on the daily pressers from the White House about when are these clean energy jobs showing up, because we have thousands of people who were supposed to be working and they're not.
Right, and they were basically told they can find other jobs. They can find other jobs in green energy.
Right.
But yet no jobs have been offered to these people.
Right. Exactly. I got a little interesting one here. So, coming from Fox News, Fox 5 out of Washington, D.C., couple buys Riverside dream home, but seller refuses to move out in eviction moratorium loophole. So in Riverside, California, the Albert family purchased a beautiful 4-bedroom house in Riverside, California. They were selling the house. The house was being sold on a cash buy, so they paid $560,000 to buy this house.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they owned it. They paid the cash for it, $560,000 cash. And during the escrow period of the house, they discovered there was a $30,000 tax lien on the house, and that got taken care of. And they own the house outright, but they can't move in. Because of they closed escrow on the home January 31st of 2020, and they still haven't been able to move in because California has an eviction moratorium, which means because of COVID, the courts in California are not hearing eviction cases. So they paid this guy $560,000 for this house, and he just refuses to move out, and they can't evict him.
Yeah.
So he just literally...
It's a loophole.
Yeah.
So until the eviction moratorium is lifted, they're kind of SOL.
Yeah.
I mean, they bought a house and now they can't move into it.
Right.
And that's a scary thing. That is. especially if you think, oh, I'm going to go buy this house, and then you find out, oh, well, loophole. Guess what? Eviction. Can't evict me right now. If it's one of those these situations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he contacted law enforcement about it, and they told him if you were in Arizona or Nevada, this wouldn't be a problem. You could just go take your house back. But in California, their hands are tied. Because that's literally how the laws are in California. Until they get a court order to evict them, this person from this house, there's nothing they can do. And they're seriously watching their house just fall apart after they were swindled out of $500,000.
Yeah.
This guy's living on their $500,000 in this house, and there's nothing they can do about it.
Yeah. And like I said, that's kind of a scary thing.
Eviction attorney Dennis Block says this year alone we've handled at least 7, maybe 8 cases of this exact type of situation. Somebody has sold a home,
right,
collected their money, and they just didn't move out.
Right.
Because they don't have to. Nobody can make them move out. I mean,
here's the thing. I can't really blame them, but at the same time, you should probably think about these types of things when you're going into buying a home in this sort of circumstance.
Right.
Is this the idea that, is this what you want to do? Or, is there... Do you think you really want to deal with an instance where someone is going to try to do this same thing to you? Do you really want to deal with that?
Well, and I understand what you're saying. Sorry to interrupt you, but I understand what you're saying. But in this, like here in Indiana, that's not an issue.
Well, yeah.
Okay, because in the state of Indiana, it's castle doctrine.
Yeah.
And stand your ground law. I can kick it's my front door. I bought it. I can kick it in to throw you out of my house with a firearm.
I don't know.
You know what I mean? So that's I can simply kick the front door in and come in. It's mine. I can break a window and climb in the window if I want to. You have no right to defend yourself. You are now trespassing.
I guess.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I guess, but...
But but they're in California, and the laws are not like that in California.
Yeah, I just... California is just kind of... There's a lot of things in California that just aren't like anywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah, I just think that I just wanted to bring this up because I saw this and I was like, are you kidding me?
Do you see how you don't see any more commercials for come visit California?
Right.
Because nobody wants to go to California.
Well, and I mean, how many times has it been on fire?
Yes.
Take that as a hint. It's literally burned over every summer for the past decade. It seems like even the powers that be are trying to get rid of it.
I think if they're going to be selling, if someone's selling their home, okay, and I think if they're going into this and especially under one of these circumstances, then this eviction moratorium should not. It shouldn't affect buying a home.
Right.
You know what I mean? So once the buyer buys the home, it is theirs. And if the person refuses to leave, they are now trespassing. And they can either leave peacefully or they can be arrested and taken out.
Right. And they can't do that. The wife tried to go and tried watering the lawn one time, and he came out and ripped up the sprinkler lines and everything. And all she was trying to do was trying to keep it looking nice, so that when they finally did get to look at, because it's an eyesore. It's becoming an eyesore. The palm trees are dying, and all the plants are dying and everything because he's not taking care of it. He doesn't care. Yeah. It's technically not his anymore. And he's not a tenant. He is a previous owner who is enjoying the benefits of both the money and the house that he sold.
Yeah.
And that's wrong. That's absolutely 100% wrong.
It's costing the buyers more than what the house was probably worth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Because of this. But at the same time, like I said, going into this, knowing about the eviction moratorium.
Right. He did this on purpose because he knew they had no way to get him out of the house.
But the buyers should have at least, you need to be educated on these types of things. Okay, there is an eviction moratorium up. So if you try, at least in the state of California, I don't know if this is the same in other states, but at least in California, okay,
right.
Because some of the weirdest crap happens in the state of California, and the weirdest things are allowed to go on in the state of California.
Yeah.
When you go to purchase a house, and you said that he owed, it was like bank owned or something.
Well, he had a $30,000 tax lien on the house. Okay. But I mean, he probably took that out of the money they were paying because he was paid cash. They gave him $560,000.
Okay, so there's a moratorium. There's a eviction moratorium. You go try to buy a house in the state of California.
If the seller decides to just not move out, there's nothing.
There's nothing. Yeah, until this moratorium is lifted. Guess what, buyers?
Right.
They don't have to leave. So now, and not only do they not have to leave, they don't have to take care of the home. So they can, just like this man's doing, they can just let it go to hell in a handbasket.
Right.
Okay, so educate yourself and don't buy a home in California.
Right.
Until after the moratorium's lifted. So, I'm not telling you don't buy a home in California. If you live in California, stay in California, please. But just don't buy a home in California. Don't bring that California stuff.
Well, I mean, here. I don't know what all the laws are about that, but since he's been staying in that place, I wonder if they can charge him rent. And I would set the amount of rent when they finally get him out of the house. I would set the amount of rent so that they could sue him for $560,000.
Or at least for the damages.
Well, they could sue him for $560,000 of rent for the year that he's been in the house. He's been in the house over a year now. Mm-hmm. They closed on the house on January 31st of 2020. He's been in the house over a year. So charging $560,000 worth of year and a half of rent, 18 months of rent or whatever, plus damages. And just taking to the bank.
I don't think that they can charge that high of rent. But they can, in California, I know they can charge a good amount of rent.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So, but, yeah, like I said, they just allow some of the strangest things that happen. It's kind of like the Florida man things that happen.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I love Florida.
Yeah, but there's some weird stuff that happens in Florida.
But some of the damaging things that happen and some of the weird stuff that happens in Florida, I'm telling you.
All right. Well, I'm going to play a video for us real quick. We're going to listen to this, and the listeners are going to listen. We're going to take a short break, and we'll come back and talk about it, okay?
Sounds good.
Is it going to play, or is it going to buffer? I think it's going to buffer.
It might buffer.
It's buffering because we're uploading. So that's buffering. You go ahead and take our quick timeout, and I'll be right back with you.
Are you a constitutionalist and fan of the Second Amendment? Then you need to listen to the American Gun Show, hosted by me, Jason Reeve, the voice of freedom. We talk about laws, training, and everything in between. Find us on the Firearms Radio Network, iHeartRadio, and every podcast platform. The American Gun Show. Our rights, our fight. Jason Reeve, the host of the American Gun Show here, inviting you to listen to our new show, Current Pulse. Join myself, Mina May, Nick Messer, and Samantha Reeve as we discuss top stories, political hypocrisy, and even stories you might not have even heard about. It's an open discussion of facts, not fake news like CNN and MSNBC. Join us on the weekly podcast Current Pulse, right here on Spreaker.com or your favorite podcast provider.
All right, folks, we're back here. Thanks for sticking with us during that little timeout. Let's see if this video is buffered up here so that we can go ahead and get that played for you. Yeah, it looks like we're going to continue to hear. It was a video we were going to listen to from Miss Kaylee on Fox News, and she was talking about the and so on and so forth. They were talking about how she talks about how on Thursday. Now, mind you, the New York Post, at the beginning of this month, back on March 3rd, they were talking about how they had over 100 across the United States.
What was the link for that?
For the example here. Trying to get this pulled up. Trying to get this article to pull up here. We try to remember. Let us in. I wonder how they got those. As circumstances dictate, the agency told The Hill. The flight proposal a mushrooming number of unaccompanied minors who show up in the official said has emerged showing that minors are staying in CBP cells meant for adults for longer than is legally allowed. Unquote. However, it mobilized extensive resources to try to ameliorate the situation on the ground, including ordering the Federal Emergency Management Agency to give $110 million to nonprofit groups and government agencies to provide help to families and children crossing the border. The administration has come under fire, barring media from covering Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas' visit to the southern border on Friday, sparking criticism from activists that officials are being insufficiently transparent over the issue. So there you have it. It's a border crisis, period. And this is from The Hill. This is a generally left-leaning liberal media source, and even they're putting Biden to task on this because it is literally an issue. I mean, if you go to thehill.com and look it up, there are all kinds of ads all over the page about expelling Marjorie Taylor Greene and a petition to tell Congress to stop Trump from running again, and so on and so forth. Paid for by the National Democratic Training Committee. So, you got a little bit of a video there, Nina? You can go ahead and bring that up here real quick if you want to give it a play.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought was interesting, I remember during the campaign, President It's an astonishing 700% increase of kids going from CBP to HHS. This is extraordinary. And if he won't even call it a crisis, I guess I'm not too surprised he hasn't even reviewed the findings of his team.
Yeah, the other thing that I thought was interesting, I remember during the campaign, former Vice President Biden would push back against President Trump and say, yes, you shut down the border to China because of COVID, but you didn't do it soon enough, and you allowed some people to come in before that, and the Europe shut down and all of that. And, they are definitely putting out the message that we're still very much dealing with COVID. The border doesn't
exactly right. There's COVID things I've read. I will back and cross Skyfall 2 hours there. I stuff that and said, well, actually, the whole time
But one of the things that I want to bring up is the fact that bad that one will in for the spot for kids that he is just not careful anymore. We are going to be straight out stab
because I don't know how to I don't know. Maybe they help.
This is one of the things that I would like to make point of. I wonder if anal seepage is one of the things. Or maybe
all of a sudden we've forgotten about how many people virus.
Right.
You can't. You're not going to cure a virus.
It'll never go away. We'll never kill it. No, I mean, how long have we been?
And telling them what to do. You're the ones who want to chase people throughout a grocery store. You don't have a mask on. You don't have a mask on. Then get the hell away.
A out usually due to a temporary drop in blood flow to the brain. I think if you are really that concerned, so this is
a coronavirus.
Yeah, bilateral lymph nodes. You know what else causes bilateral neck throat? It makes your neck elevated thyroid. Yeah.
So basically, what I mean. I don't know what
okay.
You know what that sounds like?
Okay. If you have the symptoms of herpes, Epstein-Barr virus, and trigeminal neuralgia. Virus, you may have had herpes. And of course, they're talking about they're not talking about like little herpes. They're talking about cold sore herpes. Right. If you catch COVID-19, you got another virus.
Great.
Yeah. GERD with excessive salivation. Okay.
This is big by Sunny.
Yeah, this actually somebody if you have a virus. If you have coronavirus, you can have a UTI. A UTI is a coronavirus symptom. Oh my God! Dry scalp or dandruff. Coronavirus causes dandruff. It's on the list. I swear to God. I'm not making this up. It causes low blood pressure.
They don't know what the symptoms are.
No,
so they're just saying that these are symptoms.
No, it's that COVID test.
COVID test.
Yes. COVID tests are an emergency symptom virus that may not be as common as other symptoms such as cough or fever. Toes occur, toes develop a rash or lesions. You know, cold with it. Goiter or a lump in your throat. Cracked or dried lips.
Use some
cold breathing, low oxygen. Oxygen. Yeah, that problem. That's the test we have. Okay. Pain, scalp, burstations, mid-back pain, day 3 height specific. Just abnormal low temperature.
So, could not tell you what the hell that thing is.
Spikes and cause low blood pressure. It's blood. It causes brain pressure. Swollen
pressure spike. I've chronic grains. I've done it with a lot. So
extreme extreme pressure to door. Burn skin, face, sheet, fence, hot blood, chills, no fever, ulcers or sun, high blood pressure. Nasal weight loss, feeling irritable, flashes of light engine, sleep normal.
Okay, can we just end this?
Yeah.
Because I can tell you the one on the list that I could agree with right now.
Guys,
Confusion. They're confused.
I mean, let's check this out. Realize this. I have to go back. All right. But like, one of the numbers on here was weight loss, and then number 38. Going through comes some of the like number 34 weight gain.
Yeah, we lost weight.
Right. It's just absolutely insane. But we have small. All right, I don't have to. That's the only case of drought because everything could come in. Everything's going to false. Where is it in the corners?
So that's it. We have some. At least we have on their shoulders in our area.
Yeah, thankfully.
Because I guess
right, I was like, I never. It makes you such difficulty.
Anxiety. Okay, so you have anxiety, you have trouble sleeping, but yet you're completely tired.
Right.
You're fatigued. You're confused.
Right.
That sounds to the.
Yeah. So I haven't said we need to stop. We need to stop. Like smash work. If you don't believe what me and myself are saying, put your mask on and have your wife go stand in the other room, perfume, and tell me how long it takes for you to be able to perfume. Because that's how long it's going for a virus.
No, don't even try to talk to me. Don't even try to talk to them. They say something air quotes here. Science.
Okay.
You're saying
Stay home.
Stay here. We have missed out on graduations. We've missed out on weddings. We've missed out on so much. Now it's your turn. If y'all believe that, if y'all believe and you're so scared that you have to wear these masks, then you wear your 6 feet of masks because we're not going to.
Right.
Okay. I am done. Stay home. And if you don't want to come, don't come. Okay? And if you don't want to be around people who aren't wearing masks, what? Stay home. Because people are tired of it.
The fact of the matter is that for 365 days, for over a year, if you believe in the masks and masks works, and so on and so forth, all of these things, and you want to listen to Dr. Fauci, that's fine. You go right ahead. You tried it your way for a year, and it didn't work.
Yep.
Right? It did not change a thing. So we're just going to go about our lives. We're tired of being, we don't ruled. We like our freedom.
Yep.
All right? We like our Bill of Rights. So we got to get out here.
We're going to do like most of us Americans who understand the Constitution and understand the Bill of Rights. We're going to start taking our liberties back, and we are going to live our lives. If you don't like that, then guess what?
Deal with it. You do what you need to
Kick
do.
rocks, because we don't care anymore. We're done. The masks are done. We're
listened.
over it.
Yep.
Sorry, we're not doing another days of wear masks to flatten the curve, because there ain't no curve to flatten. Look at how well Florida's doing.
Yeah. I mean, there is really no demonstrable difference between Florida and New York.
Well, except for New York's don't require you to have a verification ID that you've had a coronavirus shot.
Right. Well, but the fact of the matter still stands, though. Pre-vaccine, the lockdown, Florida didn't lock down.
Are literally
the same.
Yeah, minuscule difference.
Down by Andrew Cuomo incessantly this entire time. Florida has not, and Florida has a larger percentage of their population that are elderly people, which are
Florida,
more at risk for coronavirus. And just
so I didn't have that decided to kill people sexually.
Yeah, we're not gonna let that go here on service, and it's not gonna let go on current policy either. Just so you guys know, just because Cuomo went out and touched like all the boobs in New York, all right, we could probably touch of people that he did touch, but that's neither here nor there. That's what he wants to talk about. So that's going to do it for tonight's edition of Centerpiece. Thanks for listening tonight, and remember, those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Benjamin Franklin. You can reach me at www.facebook.com/centerpiece. You can also email me at centerpieceshow@gmail.com, or you can shoot me a tweet at centerpieceshow on Twitter. Thanks again for listening.